think after that playoff series, I finally should probably shed light on my opinions on Paul Maurice right now because I know for a fact that a lot of you guys had definitely wondering what my thoughts are on him and everything like that right now because you very well know if you've been following this channel for more than a month or more before, if you've been following this channel basically up until the playoffs started, and you've watched any videos by mine before that, you know how I feel about Paul Maurice. So if you're a new viewer to this channel that has recently found it because of all the success that we've had in the playoffs, the Winnipeg Jets, and all this madness we've had in the last week, before this madness and before all the success that came out of nowhere, I was a heavy criticizer of Paul Maurice, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this video in the old format I used to do, without me just talking and you looking at me and just going over some NHL gameplay, just like the old school way, because I think that I need to finally get this out, because a lot of you guys have been asking me in the comments on Twitter and just in DMs across the different social media platforms what my thoughts are right now on all of this Paul Maurice stuff, because Paul Maurice and the Winnipeg Jets out of nowhere going into this first round against Edmonton basically fixed everything that we'd been criticizing them with almost all season long. And yeah, they didn't play great every game, and you could definitely say that the Jets didn't even deserve to win some of those games that they did, that they stole them, and you would be very fair to say that. But when you look at the fundamentals that changed from the Jets from puck drop in game one to the end of that, when Kyle Connor finally put that thing away in triple overtime, there's been a lot of improvement with this club, and you can't deny that. And it really, in my opinion, starts with the first line. Because although in the first game, I did still was a heavy criticizer of that first line. I didn't think the first line played good. That was one of the only constants that I saw carry over from the regular season. Other than the time to time when the defense would be pressured and we'd be giving up plays, or we had a little bit of trouble in the neutral zone because of the way we move the puck. Other things like that kind of just are the way the Jets play hockey, that their issues are with just their way they, generate and play the game as it transpires throughout, that 20 minutes in a period. That's just how the Jets are. They're not perfect down the middle at times. They're not perfect in the neutral zone, and that's just how they play. We know that. But when that first line kind of brought some of that bad energy that they had in the regular season with the defensive, laziness and whatnot, I really, thought that was the only real constant that was an issue with this club. And other than that, I thought Paul Maurice had worked his magic somehow and got this team pulling out great, because you wanted to see. I said that if they wanted this team, if this series was going to go any distance, or if the Jets were going to have a chance at winning, Paul Maurice needed to get that bottom six motivated, get those guys scoring, and get those guys buzzing, and have them be a secret weapon against the Oilers' non-depth, because that's what it came down to, in my opinion, where the Jets really had the Oilers' number. Is that obviously the Jets have some great star power on their roster, but you can't compete with McDavid and Draisaitl. But you know what wins championships in the playoffs, and Paul Maurice knows this? It's depth. It's as simple as that. It comes to depth. It's not grit. It's not veteran leadership. It's depth. Yeah, having experienced guys that know how to win the playoffs is huge for a team, but the Oilers have some guys that have had some success as well. So to have these guys come in and play the way they did, to be as dynamic as they were, as impactful as they were, was a huge part of the Jets' success in those 4 games. So huge shout out to Paul Maurice on finally being able to get that bottom six to play consistent hockey where they look offensive and dangerous in their offensive zone, and they're also still reliable defensively as well. Not to mention the fact that getting away from that first game, getting away from that first game, the first line with Scheifele, Wheeler, and Connor turned from a dud back to what it looked like in its prime when we first saw it way back when in 2017-18, when it really caught fire with the league and we saw Wheeler and Scheifele tearing it up as much as they did, because holy crap, they looked fantastic. Like, I don't know exactly the amount of points that they all had throughout the entire series off the top of my head, and I don't have it on my screen right now, but I'll tell you what, it sure as hell was a lot. And you know what the most important thing I thought was about all of that was the way they led. Those guys are the top players on the team. You've got Scheifele and Wheeler, the captain and the assistant captain. Those are your top 2 offensive players, the most important guys you could probably argue in the room. So when you have those guys leading by example, playing the way they did, driving to the net hard, blocking shots like Wheeler did, I think that comes down to the way that Paul Maurice has these guys in the locker room. And I know I've been a heavy criticizer of Paul Maurice and the way he runs things, but when it came down to the moment, I was wrong, and it shows why I was wrong. I'm not an NHL coach, and I'm allowed to have an opinion on lines, and I can differ in my opinion on what I think when it comes to line matching, but when it comes down to it, there's got to be a little bit of special, you have to have some type of magic, I guess, to be in the NHL as long as you have been, especially if you're a head coach that has stayed with this organization for as long as you have, because when you look at what Paul Maurice has accomplished, and then you look at what the other elite coaches that have been tenured this long have accomplished, Paul Maurice hasn't accomplished very much compared to those guys. So to have him stay as long, it has to be for a reason, and I always question that, and I still question some of his decisions don't get me wrong. But I cannot take away from the fact that Paul Maurice got these guys to play the brand of hockey that makes us successful the exact moment when we needed them to. And that carried us to the win because, yeah, Hellebuck bailed us out. And you can just say ungodly goaltending is always a clutch, aspect to winning a series, especially in a series where you upset a few games and you steal some games like we saw in Game 4 and Game 3, really, where they were able to really, stay in it because of the goaltending that Hellebuck provided the Jets. So that's not really Paul Maurice. That's just having a Vezina winning goaltender in your crease. But when you look at everything else that improved with the defense especially, that's where you can give some credit to even Huddy, I feel like, and Paul Maurice too. Because look at some of the guys that we criticized going in. Who are the worst defensemen this year that you would probably say that for the consistently drew into the Jets lineup? For me personally, it would probably be Derek Forbort, and I would say Tucker Pullman. Those two guys struggled immensely, and especially Logan Stanley near the end of the year wasn't playing too hot either. So to have not a lot of great guys playing, the best brand of hockey going to the playoffs, I was definitely nervous. And I was also nervous because I wanted to see more Ville Heinola. I've been a big defender of Ville Heinola and a big pusher for Ville Heinola, and I still am. But I am not going to argue with the fact that all of a sudden Tucker Pullman, like I said in every game recap, turned into an offensive gem and looked fantastic this whole series. He jumped into so many rushes. He had so many good shots. He played good defense at times. And Logan Stanley, although looking a little bit inexperienced at times, was a very, very reliable physical presence, exactly what we needed from a guy that's as big as he is. So again, everything that needed to happen for this team to be successful happened, and I give huge credit to the coaching staff to be able to get these guys motivated enough, especially with the way that they were playing going into the playoffs, to be able to play that brand of hockey and be successful and beat the Oilers in a 4-game series where, let's be honest, I and a lot of other fans and a lot of other analysts and almost anybody that follows the hockey really to any extent had the Oilers winning this series in at least 6 games minimum, I would say, maximum, I would say. I didn't think a lot of people saw this going to 7. Maybe some did. Personally, I didn't see a lot of people that thought it was going 7. I mostly saw Oilers in 6, Jets in 6 if it ever got that far, and that was really it. I never saw the Jets getting swept, and never saw even people sending Jets in 5. So for this to happen is an absolute shock in my opinion, and it shows why it was an absolute shock, because the Jets were not well coached. They weren't a well-oiled machine that you have going into the playoffs where you want to be successful. They were basically leaking oil everywhere, leaking everything you can imagine, and when they took it into that shop, somehow Paul Maurice and the coaching staff got them tuned up right in time because they were able to go out and finish that race and win that first round. You got a lot more hockey left to play, and you're going to be going up against a better team in the Leafs, probably the best team in Canada. Now, you've had the Leafs numbers at times, but the Leafs have also dominated you as well, and the Leafs are definitely better coached and more dynamic, but that's the thing where it comes into play. I just said that the Leafs are better coached and more dynamic, but at this point with the playoffs and how everything's gone, can you say that? Does Paul Maurice have anything up his sleeve? At this point, I'm not questioning him, because when it comes down to it, everyone's always saying this, and as much as I'm tentative to agree with it at sometimes, I will say that I do right now. The playoffs are a different braid when it comes to the regular season and the stats that carry over. You never know what can happen. It's basically a new season. So if this is the Jets' new season and this is the way they're going to be playing right now, I'm riding with them, and I'm not questioning the coaching staff. If Paul Maurice got these guys as tuned up as they did to go out and sweep the Oilers in 4 games after playing the way they did so atrociously for like 20 games near the end of the season there, credit to him and all the power to him, because, yeah, there were some games people like to argue that the Jets could have won there. I personally didn't see it. So when it comes down to it, Paul Maurice was able to get these guys tuned up enough to be successful when the time mattered. And now, who cares going into the second round what we thought about Sheldon Keefe and Paul Maurice? Who was the better coach? Who had the better game plans? Who matched up lines better? Because at this point, none of that matters. You can look at all your advanced analytics and stats you want, but when it comes down to it, no one predicted Paul Maurice being able to get these guys in tuned in time. It was a Disney movie miracle, as I like to say. And now we have this team ready to go, and we got to believe in what they have, and we got to ride with it. So I'm making this video because my opinions on Paul Maurice, even though I don't see eye to eye with him all the time, I stand with him right now. I give him 100% props, and even though I did want him fired going into this playoffs because I had that little faith, it just shows that you never know what can happen in sports. So credit to the guy that literally probably saved his job by being able to get these guys tuned up enough to be successful as they are now, sweeping the Oilers and going on to play either the Habs or most likely the Leafs, being up 3-1 at the time of recording in the second round whenever that starts in the coming up week. But I want to know your thoughts on Paul Maurice. Do you still are you still not sold on Paul Maurice? Are you still kind of on that fire Paul Maurice train that I was on just literally a week and a half ago, it feels like? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below about this interesting topic in the comment section below. As always, if you're a fan of hockey, a fan of the Winnipeg Jets, but more importantly, any team you root for, regardless of what team it is, regardless of what country, where you are in the world, if you love hockey, definitely consider dropping a subscription, as we're trying to get towards 1.5k. If we can get to that 1.5k before the start of the second round, that would be crazy. And I know that seems like a crazy subscriber goal, but whatever. Things have been going crazy lately on the channel, so thank you guys so much for all that support. And we're going to set a crazy subscriber goal. So with all that being said, peace, love, and positivity as always, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. I will see you guys in the next video. Check out Game Day for live streams where I will watch and cover live to react all the games that happen this playoff season. Turn on notifications to catch those when they go live puck drop on game days. Peace, love, and positivity. Have a great day, and bye-bye.